Welcome back from the break. It's always a delight to have you. Remember, this is Kemcha Doreen on Women in Business, Smart24 TV. We always give you the latest happening insight from amazing women, linkages to resources, but also we are very keen on finding out what is happening within the public spaces, within the private spaces, what is happening around women. On this particular episode, we do have this amazing lady, Miss Emily Akulu, Deputy Executive Secretary for the National Women's Council. And we're talking about women leadership and sustainable socio-economic empowerment. We had skipped a little bit, Emily, about the different ways in which you are inspiring women at grassroots level to rise up and come up. Do you have trainings for them? What happens? How often are they?
So our trainings run throughout the year, except that we have we have a big constituency, I'd call it, big area to cover the whole country, and our trainings run throughout the financial years, and we budget for them accordingly. So I can say it's something that's recurring.
You do, that's recurring.
It's like everything that you wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to office. Which women are receiving information today?
What do you focus on in those trainings?
Well, we focus on leadership, and also we have skills training and entrepreneurship training. We also have trainings that do basically advocacy-related issues, but most of all, in our training, if it's leadership, we cover, because our target is also always women leaders. Now, before people thought that women council empowers only women council leaders, but the actual issue is that we empower women of all walks of life, but in leadership. We empower women who are serving in the district councils, of course the women's council leaders, right from grassroots. We haven't been able to reach up to the village sometimes, but we pick a few that are very key and bring them and train them in different ways. Women leading in churches, like Mothers Union, and religious institutions, and women in business, women leading in business.
But
so first,
please go on.
We believe that women, for them to be able to succeed economically, they have to lead in different sectors for them to be able to have a voice. Now that's where the advocacy comes in. In the PDM, the women are sitting on the parish committees, the women council leaders, and that's what we advocated for, and we told the president that there is really need for women to be able to be there to cater for the interests of the women after working hard to make sure that the women have their own percentage, which is 30%. But within that, there's women in the youth sector, there's women in the disability and elderly. Everywhere it's really women. So we empower them with information on the different government programs. But there are those that are hands-on with the Women's Council, really. For us, we are mainly eyes-on, hands-off. There are many different government programs that target women. So our work is to bring the information closer to the women and to make them understand how they can benefit from it, and also to make them understand how they can make their fellow women, fellow women benefit maximally from such opportunities. In most cases, there are very beautiful programs designed and all this, but the monitoring aspect is always missing, which is what the National Women's Council leaders do. So when we go to train them, we go with packages of almost all government programs that have women involved. Whether it's UPE, whether it's USE, we say this is what the government policy says. You can't have a child sitting at home when there's a school, provided for school fees and all that. You can't stay home and have your children get polio when government is immunizing. So it's not like, it's not only this.
It's multidimensional.
Multidimensional. We make them know of available opportunities within government and other multinational organizations that they may benefit from as women. And also women in councils, district councils, they're always part of our training. The woman council chairperson at the district level is an ex-official member of council. So we support them to attend council meetings through the institutional support fund that we recently launched.
But how loud is the voice of the women leaders at the grassroots level? Let's really be realistic. How loud is their voice? They may have a voice, we can't negate that, but how loud is their voice? I have participated in so many community dialogues, so many, uncountable. And the higher up you go, the lower down into the villages you go, you will have more or less moments whereby the men are called in to talk, and then lastly, a woman is called in to talk, and she has to wait for her turn. She has to wait for her turn. And even when she is called forth to come in and give a word on some of these as stakeholder engagement meetings, yes, she has to be careful not to step on some toes. If the chairperson has been eating the money and ABCD, she has to go through another man to be able to voice out that particular issue. So how loud are the voices of these women?
The women, we realize that it still goes back to information and monitoring and knowing your responsibilities as a woman leader. One, we realized in the PDM, while interacting with women, when we go for this training, it's really an interaction. And sometimes we go with specific topics, we end up covering what's happening within that district. Now we found women and we said, now, they put you on the PDM committee. When they say, let's elect the chairman, and somebody points at you, you say, no, I would love to be the vice. And we ask, who told you that women are supposed to be vice? If people saw you and they think you can lead as chairperson,
yes,
that thing is not chairman. Once elected, then maybe chairman, if it's male. But for them, and they call it chairman. For them, it's the chairman's seat is reserved for. Then the women maybe keep money. Yes. Treasurer. Now, if it's a government program, you might end up not touching money.
I actually had as in one of the villages, and the man asked, "Have you ever seen a man, a chairman?" Yes, a chairman. Big. Haven't you heard the word man in that word? Why do you want to put yourself here? You keep quiet.
Yeah, and now in the PDM, they're on that committee, and we say, when people are seated on a round table, in the chairman's office, in most cases they have their meetings in the LC3 chairperson's office and that. So if there are few seats, or even if there are many seats, why do you pull the seat away and sit on a mat? Yeah. You were elected by women to represent women. It means you have to sit on the table. So I always make a joke that now, if you are seated on the mat and they're writing figures, they will write on the table 100 million. Then you who is seated on the mat, they will let you know that it was 30 million. So now tell me, whose fault? Is it still the government's fault? Is it the Women's Council's fault? It's your fault. You have let the women down. So it's so women need talks like that. Now those are the talks that we do with women. We make them know about government programs. We make them know about sensitive policies. Yeah. Like of course there's one that I mentioned that's very sensitive, the homosexuality bill that was coming, that was confusing a lot of people. We also had to sensitize them about those and some things that were happening. It's the Women's
difficult.
Council role to bold up whatever is happening. If it's a domestic bill, if it's a bill about this, now the Women's Council voice it. And we usually invite women MPs. When we are going to these districts, by the way, because we don't want to work in isolation, we invite women members of parliament, and we even invite male members of parliament to come and be part of it. The district chairpersons are always part of our activities, and we call them madam until the sessions end, because we say when you come to the women's event, you are part of us, and they're happy to participate. So
there's some progress there.
Yeah, there's progress there. Women only need space. And women only need to be told that this is it. Yeah, this is it really. Because if I sit on the mat, if I turn down a nomination for being chairperson of...
Because you're used to being vice.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you
Because
always
you've grown up with being told that women are vice.
Yeah, and that is now, in one district I went to train women. Now that we had a chat, the good thing, the car was there, the RDC was there, the district chairperson. And one woman stood up and said, now for PDM, we collected 30,000 and we gave to our chairperson that they're going to buy computers. Then we said, now, computers for who? That the parish chief. So I left them with their own button. We just opened a can of worm.
Yes.
We hope the RDC because they were all shocked.
Yes.
So now if women don't want to, I believe that a woman will not allow that kind of thing. But because you said, chairman, this person, because you said, I want to sit on the mat. If they say something, you say, oh, maybe, I think, let me ask my husband, he's also here.
Yes.
If you're on the committee with your husband, he happens to be chairperson, let's say 2 or 3, you are different constituencies at that time. We are not household member. You are not husband and wife.
Please, mention these things. Mention these things. Look into the camera and talk to that woman out there.
So if you are elected by women, please, make sure that you follow that which you promised to do for the women of Uganda. If you personalize your leadership, I don't refute the fact that men or husbands sometimes can guide, because sometimes we have husbands who have seen it all in leadership, and we really appreciate if they, if we ask and they voice. But if we are at a village meeting and our voices have to come out, let's feel free at any level as women leaders to voice up and save the situation. So you said that rural women are more intimidated. I already told you an example of parliament. Yeah. I also already told you an example of local government and, and PDM.
And this is where we were thinking to ourselves, yes, if at the top that is happening, and I'm very sure that there are so many women down in the villages that thought the same way I'm thinking, if this can happen to the one we are sending there, the one that comes driven in a big car, yes, the one that we are saying this is the person to go and put our issues there, if she is being treated like this, what about me?
True.
What about me? You see, because the women in business does not only look at the business front economically. It is a multitude, it is an integration of every other thing, political, as you mentioned, socially, emotively, all these different things come together.
Women at the village level are automatic secretaries to LC1, secretaries of health. Now, our women are one of those most honorable people that I know. They are the Sengas. When there is a wedding taking place, it's the Senga. If it's counseling and all that, it's the woman council chair. Because we have lots of households, child-headed households. And then we have lots of widows and single mothers who lean on our women to run their families. Yes. So if this woman is empowered as such, then we are sure that that village is safe. And it's true. The LC1 chairpersons are the ones who have the stamp. So when I want to go abroad to Oman or where? Yes. It's the LC1 chairperson who stamps and gets my money. Then the women council chair, when they want to talk about violence in the other household, when they want to talk about affairs of the village, as far as women are concerned, it's the women's council. And I appreciate them because they do it with all their hearts. And during COVID, we had a woman who accommodated a whole family that was involved in domestic violence. A village, I was a women council chair, and that woman pleases me.
In which district?
It was in Mubende district.
So they carry out different roles.
So many motherly
different roles. You are the high priest. You are the
Alpha
mediator.
and the omega of women.
And they have to have special skills, actually, not only just leadership skills really, but as well as many other skills.
And these are women elected by women, so the men don't participate in our elections. It's women who line up behind women and straight. When they say village, your elections are today, So at that level, there's a chairperson and the executive, they all make 5. Chairperson, the women sit, and you don't know how they do it. There were no campaigns, because in most cases for us, really, it's women's thing. You see women all lining up after one woman like that. And this other one hasn't, nobody has said nothing, but the village
They
knows.
know.
Yeah.
They know.
The village knows. So we want them to utilize that potential they have, given opportunity all the time. But we really always encourage them to do what they can within means. During COVID-19, there were many challenges, but the Women's Council leaders were there.
Were there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the challenges just briefly. You know, we talked about the fact that they're multidimensional, their skills, their approaches, the problems that come to them. These women do not live in isolation. They stay within societies.
Yeah.
They have families. They have in-laws.
Yeah.
How do they balance it out? You were talking about, stop sitting on the mat. I have myself struggled so much with how that can be handled. This is part of culture, yes, but at the same time, we want to be more assertive in the way we do things.
Right.
Yes. And how is it possible to be assertive on the mat? Yes? Is it possible to be assertive
How can you
on the
shout
mat?
from the mat?
Something like that.
Yeah.
How can we harmonize? Because we are respectful of our culture, the good, the positive side of our culture.
Yeah.
How can we balance it out in leadership? Because if we are able to balance it out, that means the woman out there can be able to participate in economic activities, be productive as well. How do you think we can balance it?
Okay. Well, first of all, you talked about making it loud from the mat.
Yeah.
Making your interest known.
Yes.
It depends on the space you are in. Like I said, if it's an official space where everybody sits on the table, please don't sit on the mat. Don't say that I'm a Muslim woman, I need to sit on them. No, you sit on the mat when you're at home, and also when you're at the mosque. I led in Busia before as Deputy Resident District Commissioner, and there was a time I needed to really address something, and I had never been to a mosque, but I needed to speak to the and I'm very proud in my own way. So
Yes.
when I reached there, being young and quick and so, but I had covered my head. Now when I reached there, they told me, I thought because I was RDC, they were going to tell me to sit with them.
Yes.
So I realized quickly that that's how it is. I sat on the mat. And they gave me a mic to speak. I spoke. I talked about security. I talked about economic empowerment of women. And by the time we finished, the Hajis were okay with me. They were happy with me, and the women were happy. And my ideas, my concept was built from the mat. So I had more Muslim women coming to interact with me about, and also sharing with me their challenges. Traditionally, it is. Women are leaders in the cultural institutions. In Buganda, they kneel and sit on their mat. In my culture, we kneel and we also sit on the mat. Now that space is provided for me to sit on the mat, right? And it also does not mean that when now I sit on the mat,
that I'm the
I
best.
forget about what
has brought me.
What has brought me here? No. You gave me a mat because you said I'm a woman leader, and according to job description or according to this culture, women sit on the mat. So I'm still going to push for the agenda of women from the mat, respectfully. But when it's official and it's a boardroom, please don't sit on the mat. Unless you really have to, maybe you have a disability, because I believe it also puts your spirit down. As a woman, you begin thinking, there are things going to be said, then you need to ask, what did you say? Or you shy away eventually and not even understand it. So I talked about the other government programs that the Women's Council does, is involved in directly.
Which ones?
WEP, which is also empowering women economically. So our Women Council chairperson must sign on your form before you receive funding from WEP, which is one thing that is good, because this Woman Council chairperson knows everybody, which is also what I advocate for other government programs that are for women. Make our women aware of what it is, and then give them a stamp, give them power. to monitor at that level. So we do a lot of monitoring of government programs and even report on it. Yeah, and then our trainings, I only mentioned the capacity building and empowerment, but we also do, we also do the economic ones. We do tooling and skilling and tooling and retooling even.
Yeah.
For most especially teenage mothers who
Need quite a lot of guidance.
and mostly urban ones because they're the most challenged. And also rural we do. And then we do entrepreneurship training generally, believing that when women have skills of bookkeeping, counting and all that, they should be able to understand their business better and also lift it up. And we are encouraging formalization of businesses, which is something that Grow is
very
doing,
keen.
and we are very happy with them.
What are those particular challenges that honestly come up? You are at national level. You literally have your tentacles all over in every district, in every sub-county. You have those particular women from the Women Council there. What are those particular challenges that the council continuously faces in reaching out, in having more sustainable, consistent maybe trainings or sustainable work? What is it?
When I mention finances, somebody will say money is never enough.
Yes.
But there's a limit for never enough.
Yeah.
If the Women's Council has had the finances that they need to carry out their programs of reaching out to every woman leader in Uganda, it would be powerful. But we have budget troubles all the time. It's up and down, which is affecting, of course, all MDS. But if they talk of priority, let people prioritize the Women's Council, really. Because without Women's Council leaders, you won't have a UPE child who is at home because a stepmother is pressing her down, who is at home because an uncle or a parent wants to marry her off instead, and especially the girl child, even boys. For me, I believe in all the children
all
should
genders
receive what really belongs to them. Of course, because there was a little bit of trouble when girls were too behind.
Yeah.
So now I think we are coming to a balance.
Actually, the boy child is now saying you have overpassed us.
You have overpassed us.
Yes,
Yeah,
there is quite not even the boy child, the male, the male gender. The male gender is saying you have overpassed
but now
us.
all of them call themselves boy child.
Boy child, yes, quote unquote. Even that 40 years old is calling themselves boy child.
Yeah.
They are saying you got those points back in school. You got the bursary based on the fact that you're a girl.
1.5.
You got the job based on the fact that you are a woman.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Yeah.
What else do you need?
So we say the women's struggle can never be the same as the men's struggle. That's the truth. But we want to do it in a way that it's balanced, like like intended. We do not intend to overlift another one and leave another one behind. If I lift my girl and I leave the boy behind, who will marry her? I bring a girl who is well brought up and all set up, educated, employed, but the man who will marry her did not get the kind of empowerment.
And that is happening.
Yeah, and that is destroying family.
Yes.
The family institution, marriage institution is not working in many societies right now like it was working before.
That's true.
Agree with
Yes,
me on
yes,
this,
I do.
Because there's a lot of war.
Yeah.
Women are trying to find themselves. The girl child is saying, I went to Harvard. The boy is saying, I went to...
Yes, no, let's not even mention names. We just know that there are gaps and they have to be rectified.
That's right.
What is the way forward in this? It seems like it's a huge job. We are looking at gaps at the very top, and not because nothing is being done.
We have that, the financial... Oh, yeah. You wanted to ask something?
No.
So we have that, the financial challenge. You can ask me that.
Yes.
We have the financial challenge of financing our programs of monitoring government programs, of training women and building their capacity in leadership, in social, economic development, and how to reach them, which we believe is a resource. The Women's Council has the most powerful network in this country. That there is no denial. In the village, we have actually a network of 375,000 women leaders in Uganda. Who has that?
3,000?
375,000
Yes.
women leaders.
Wow.
Not ignoring the fact that since 2018, when the women were elected, new counties were created,
formed.
parishes and villages.
Yes.
So we are talking of close to 400,000
Maybe 400,000.
or 500,000 even. Yeah.
This has been a wonderful discussion, very wonderful conversation, just talking about the role of leadership. How are women at grassroots and the top being groomed? How is it working out? Is it impactful? It is very necessary, by the way, for sustainability, because if we do not look at these aspects, that means the women in business will not get support. The women at home will not be looked at all in a potential light. The women who are still looking for support and partnerships will still not be able to go that extra mile. Join us next time on Women in Business as we get to look at different angles to enable women socio-economic and political empowerment. This has been Kem Chadorin on Women in Business. I was joined as well by Miss Emily Akulu. Amazing woman. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that next time you can give us more news and details about how far you have gone. I would want to take this opportunity to let her sign out for us as well, since you've done that a number of times.
Okay, Thank you so much, Doreen, and your crew. I am very grateful that you were able to spot the National Women's Council as part of the people that you value and think can give substance to the women's work, economically, politically, and socially. As a National Women's Council, we continue to commit to what we started and what our mothers actually started. It would be a shame if we ignored the aspects of life that we have spoken about, but we also need support and more partners to come on board for us to be able to do what we have to do. But we will work with you. I'm inviting you to the fields to see the kind of activities that we hold as Women's Council, because for us we believe it's action that counts. But I think once in a while it's good to show it on media that this is what we are doing, to encourage other organizations and individuals.
Okay. So this has been Women in Business. We want to thank you so much for being with us. Until next time, this has been Doreen Kemcha, and bye-bye.